I love my life. I love my body. I love myself. Yeah, yeah. Welcome to your Sacred Sexual Awakening. I am Shaft Uddin. And I think I need to come closer to the microphone. Here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me again for another love stream. Today's love stream is all about daddy issues. I recorded one of these earlier last week, but it disintegrated due to the fabric of the Wi-Fi not coming together and streaming this transmission. So today is all about daddy issues and how I became more of a man. Check this out. Ooh, full of testosterone, finally. So I used to identify myself as a lesbian. That's right, a lesbian blessed in a unicorn's body. I didn't identify myself as a man forever. I was very much in my feminine back then in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. People like Russell Brand and Noel Fielding and Eddie Izzard didn't really exist. I was just a very feminine guy with a laugh that goes a little bit something like this. That was my true self. I had to change that laugh to many variations so people wouldn't call me gay. I actually have suffered more homophobia than racism. And to be fair and to be honest, I've only suffered racism in 1988, one summer. That was it. Lucky for me, no, not luckily for me, I'm just very clever. People just see my heart and see how outrageous I am. So they never really see my colour. They just see the colour of my heart, which is big and sparkly. But they also have the first impression, which is not the colour, but he must be gay, right? So back in the days, whenever someone would make love to me, afterwards they would say, "But you're gay, you are." And I'd be like, yeah, totally gay. Let's keep on having sex. And they couldn't pinpoint what type of person I was. They couldn't put me in a box. I think this is the level I need to be in. Right, there you go, that's better. So close to you. So they couldn't put me in a box. And it was only until I discovered Tantra did I figure out why I am the way I am. So I was always one of the girls. I have mum tattooed on my back. And this is all about daddy issues. And we're going to get onto that in a second. I'm going to tell you how I became more of a man than I ever have been due to my father. My father's called Elvis, by the way. He's about this big. He's under 5 foot. So I was raised by my mum. My father, Elvis, love him to bits. He's one of my role models now, by the way. He's amazing. He never used to be like that. So I'm going to be talking about an old version of Elvis. And I'll be referring to an old version of Shaft Uddin. So when I was 6 years old, I think, my dad lifted me up and threw me to the ground, smashing my face, breaking my nose, and deforming me for a while. I have a crooked nose because of my dad. And this is because my father was a very violent, absent father. And I'm sure a lot of people could relate to absent fathers. It's a generational thing. It's not their fault. Everyone of that generation had no idea how to connect to their emotions. They knew how to provide. And that is what they did. And that is why my father did what he did to help his seed, his future versions of himself to excel in life. He provided the best he could so that we wouldn't struggle as much as he did. He couldn't give us the emotional support that we wanted, but he gave us the financial stability, homes, and that's about it. A provider. That's what that generation was taught to do. They did great. They didn't do well on our emotions. So this is why every single sci-fi and Marvel film is all about daddy issues. It is huge in the collective consciousness now. And toxic masculinity. Thanos, Tony Stark's dad, Odin, Darth Vader. These are just a handful of Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's see if I can think of any more. These are already all of the father figures in modern day folklore, which is Marvel films. Brahma, Shiva, Zeus, and a bunch of other dads in religion. So, and Muhammad, of course, and other fathers, great fathers who cause a lot of suffering in their children. It's a big thing. Being a man is tough. This is why my species of our humans is dying out more than the one with the boobs and the vaginas. And that has a lot to do with the fact we spend a lot of time in here. The masculine energies are one of the logic, one of the mind. The feminine energies are one of the heart, the one of the emotions, one of the body. And our men out there, they are not equipped to deal with emotions. Women have a big gaggle of, they're just very connected human beings. The core essence of being a human is tribal mentality, and it is women who bring the tribes together. The men are like the lone wolves who go out hunting. Being a man, I was always one of the women, and I was always part of the girls, because I disowned that part of my masculinity. I didn't want to be like my father. There was no positive role models out there back in the 80s. I didn't want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Rambo. I wanted to be more like She-Ra and Chitara and Lion-O and Optimus Prime and Wolverine. So I was a very fictional type of character that I wanted to become. I basically just wanted to become a superhero. When I became 30 and 40, I became a superhero, as I used to dress up in spandex every single day and be a unicorn or a Sacred Sexual Jedi and go around saving people from themselves and helping people to tap into their inner selves, inner mythicals, and become better versions of themselves. So I became a superhero. I'm still a superhero right now because I'm superhuman, because all of us are. It's only because I tapped into my inner masculine later on. So we're going to come back into that. So how did I overcome my daddy issues? So my past relationship with my father wasn't great. He was very violent and absent. The time he stopped hitting me and beating me was 1996 or 1995, where I forgot to turn on. I used to work at my dad's restaurant. My upbringing is a strict, devout Muslim, heavily conditioned Muslim upbringing. If anyone's seen the film East is East, that's literally my life. That's what we did, and we were forced into child labour, as all Bangladeshi kids are. This is why I have such a diligent, hard-working mentality. These are the good parts of me being a Bangladeshi, by the way. And he came into the restaurant and saw the sign wasn't on because I forgot to turn the open sign on. So he beat my cousin, and then he was about to beat me, and I pushed him. For the first time in my life, I stood up for myself. And he stopped, hit me from that day on. He never touched me again. Obviously, my mum found out, and my mum beat me instead. And she said, "You should never hit your father. He has the right to beat you as much as he can." In Stockholm, in Sweden, they can't even understand why someone would beat their child. Like, it's such a different culture here. So different. Whereas it's just normal in my culture to beat the shit out of your children, and then, also cut off their foreskins and mutilate their genitals. That's just normal. Culture, conditioning. They have no idea what they're doing because their parents did it to them. It's up to me to stop doing that, and I will not be cutting off my kids' dicks. It's called circumcision. So my father and I didn't have a healthy relationship. I was very angry and resentful. My only escape from the Indian restaurant from the age of 13 to the age of 19 was get myself educated, get myself out of Bexhill-on-Sea. I was a wild kid. I was a hoodlum. I was robbing houses, joyriding, mugging, stealing. I really enjoyed burning stuff. I was a crazy, crazy mental kid. A lot of energy. And my dad, recently, we had a big family clearing, and he said, "Yes, I did beat you the most." And I was like, "Thanks for admitting to that, Dad. That's great." So it was actually smoking weed that made me chill out, made me become a poet and an artist. And education was the only way out. So I got myself educated. I got myself out of Bexhill-on-Sea. I got myself out of that retirement town, which was actually one of the most violent places I've seen. It was actually more violent than downtown LA when I was backpacking. And I went to Cardiff University, UWIC, University of Wales Institute Cardiff, to study graphic design. And I excelled, and eventually I became a very successful art director in advertising until I had my awakening and I became tantric. I also jumped into, and during that time at university, I just hung out with all the girls. I was just making out with all the girls, and I was just one of the girls. It was great. Again, they all just thought I was gay, but I just was having sex with them, so didn't bother me. And then I discovered Burning Man, and that counterculture, that art festival. There's one burn every single week. So I became addicted to these burns. And this was a space where I could finally be myself. The more feminine you are, the more you will have sex with lots and lots of people. So I was able to be myself, to be fabulous. I was a unicorn. I ended up creating the 10 Principles of Unicornia. It's all about polyamory, and just basically it's just hedonism. Straight up ketamine, Lamborghini, and sex. It was amazing. And I basically surrounded myself with bisexual, lesbian, super hot blonde women and super hot, outrageously good looking, fabulous men, all homosexual. And I was the only straight guy, stroke lesbian. Because normal women would never have sex with me because they just thought I was gay. And then I discovered Tantra. Then I discovered that yin and yang symbol. Then I discovered that Shiva Shakti thing. By the way, I come from the LGBT community, so all this masculine, feminine energy stuff triggers the fuck out of those people. I needed to find language that made sense to me. When I was heavily, taking ketamine, I would see a guy with a top knot, and it was blue, and he had a leopard tiger print, and he was just super hot and buff. Turns out, and I googled who that was, and it was Shiva. So I had this huge god crush on Shiva, and Shiva would just come into my body and possess me. When you're opening yourself up to that much power, when you're taking a lot of psychedelics and you're very open, you will start channeling deities. So watch out. It might change your life. The more powerful you become, the more fucked up things you'll have to deal with, like exorcisms and things like that. But that's another story, and that's another part of my job. So I discovered Shiva. I fell in love with this masculine energy, and then I started to research onto who this Shiva is. Turns out it's a masculine energy to be present. And then I became the embodiment of Shiva. I did all my trainings around Tantra and Sacred Sexual Awakening. I became a space holder for women, and I tapped into, even though I still identified myself as a lesbian, I was the safe guy for women to relax. I also had a gift, which was, if anyone's seen the rom-com Good Luck Chuck, which is if someone has sex with Good Luck Chuck, they find the love of their lives, and they end up, those people go, hey, have sex with Chuck and you'll find the love of your life. So I had that ability. It's a blessing and a curse. It's great, but heart-wrenching when you see the women that you really want to spend the rest of your life with having sex with your friends and having babies, and you're being invited to their weddings. This happened to me since my university days. This is why I have a business called sacredsexualawakening.com, because I'm clever, and I thought, fuck it, I might as well monetize this, because this keeps on happening over and over and over and over again, for fuck's sake. So now I'm less attached. Now, when people have sex with me, because the reason why people have sex with me when they're just coming out of their celibacy or had a traumatic experience is because I'm a safe guy. So I'm not out to penetrate them. I'm not out to get anything from them. I'm just a very grounded dude who just likes to have fun. This is my personal life. Talk about Sacred Sexual Awakening in a minute. So people see me as someone who won't have the toxic relationship, the dramas or anything like that. Someone who is grounded in themselves and present in themselves, that they could hold space for them to start opening up to their own sexuality. To start giving them permission to be themselves, so they're not shut down or shamed, so they can start living that feminine energy, that juicy, sexy energy, stepping into their priestess, goddess power. So that's what I do. That's my job. So moving over to my job now, I hold space for women to step into their power. I give them permission to be themselves. My website is very transparent, so women can see exactly the service I'm providing. They have to fill in a form and everything. And we have an interview, and then we have a session together, or a package or something that is tailor-made for their healing process. This is because I'm deeply connected to my feminine energy. I'm very safe. But now I'm tapping into my masculine power. All because in 2017, my father had a stroke. We all had to go back to Bangladesh, to a very strict devout Muslim country, and see him die. I knew he wasn't going to die, because I knew Shaft Uddin was going to save the day. That's right. I genuinely did think that. I was deep into Tantra. Like, I was in it. There was nothing else apart from Tantra. October 2017, I was teaching, I was a healer at Beaver Tantra Festival. A Beaver Tantra Festival is one of the best Tantra festivals out there. I love it because it's a higher vibration of wealth. I make a killing there. So it's, for me, it's like a really nice way to make a fortune for 1 week, help women heal. And I'm literally just morning, grab breakfast, morning, give a yoni massage, lunchtime, get as much of the free buffet, eat it, give another session, dinner time, get as much of the free buffet, and then give another session. 3 sessions a day, 2 hours each session, 2, 4, 6, free yoni massages. I burnt out, did you know, from giving yoni massages. That's right, I was that wounded healer. I wanted to help as many women as possible, so I started to train my body to become bigger, more powerful, more more present, more equipped to help as many women as possible. Eventually, I burnt out. In October 2017, my body broke down and I suffered from chronic pain for 3 years. I've just recovered, by the way. This is why my body works now. But also during this time, my father had a stroke. I just left Ibiza, my heart wide open, and I went to Bangladesh. I was the biggest problem when I went back to Bangladesh, not the fact that my dad was dying of a stroke. My energy was so big and strong that my mum hated the fact that I was drawing so much attention. Bangladesh is a strict devout Muslim country, fully repressed. They have a fabric of society that is contained with fear, guilt and shame. Allah will punish you. Do have no shame. You cannot look like that. Like all these old school words that they used to use in Victorian era England and the medieval times, that's Bangladesh. That's where I come from. That's my heritage. So they had to hide me because my energy was so big. They had to contain this energy. And when I say energy, I was just really happy. My heart was open. So what they had to do was suppress me. They put a hat on me. They put on these clothes so I stopped looking like myself. And within 7 days, my energy came down to the environment of fear, shame and guilt. Then my mum was, now you're one of us. Really sad. They could tell I was dying inside, but they didn't care because their reputation was on I was a man who looked like a woman. I was a man that teaches tantra and gives yoni massages. They couldn't have someone like me there. Like I was causing too much trouble just by having a face that is my mum and dad's face together, but I look like a woman. So what happened in those 11 days with my Muslim family was the most profound healing I have ever had. My dad was no longer opinionated. My dad was a husk of a man. So my dad, he was a very aggressive man. He was a tiny human being. And he, like I said, he's under 5 foot. But somehow he had so much courage. Aggressive man. He had so much courage and so much willpower that he was able to come to England, suffer. I'll tell you that story in a minute. Come to England and create a life for himself as an immigrant. And then bring his family over and then give us the life that we have now. But he wasn't able to speak anymore. He wasn't able to be so aggressive anymore. He actually became super nice because he couldn't speak or walk or do anything. He's like a crippled old man. And I literally said, I prefer this version of my dad. He's amazing. It's because he became vulnerable for the first time in his whole life. I knew what I had to do every single day. I knew that I had to give him love. What unfolded was my family actually telling me to do stuff because they all knew I was a healer. So my little brother, he said, give him a massage. And I'm like, bruv, I give yoni massages. That's vaginal massages. I don't massage humans. Like, I just do the vagina and bits of the body. That's my speciality. And he just said, it's all the same stuff, just do it. So I thought, okay, this is fucking weird because I've never touched my dad. Muslim family, no physical contact. Imagine Victorian England. No, we don't touch. No, we don't show emotion. Oh, no. It's like that. So for me to even hold my dad, touch my dad, let alone give him a massage was super weird. But I tapped in my space holding and my yoni massaging self If I'm able to give women who are 84 years old a yoni massage, I could at least touch my own father, right? Right. So I just jumped straight in. I gave something to my dad that he has never had. Love. I used the oldest practice of Tantra, which is conscious touch. This works on a science, biological, logical process. So if I'm feeling something, you're going to feel something. Here's a perfect example. If I tell you a ghost story, you're going to get goosebumps. Especially if I'm reliving my real ghost story, you're going to get goosebumps. Because I'm feeling it, you're feeling it. We're all natural empaths. Every single one of us has the same things inside of us. It's called mirror neurons. This is why porn is one of the most biggest selling things on the planet, because they see two people fucking, or a gang of them, and they're all turned on, and then you become turned on. So why not use that to something positive? If you're feeling love in your own heart, you could channel that through your chest into the heart of your palm and place your hands onto another human being and channel love. So simple. I know a lot of empaths are watching this, and I know when someone with negative energy, angry, stressed, suffering from mental illnesses, when they come into a room screaming and shouting, you're highly affected by that energy. Am I right, or am I right? Of course I'm right. But if you're in a room where everyone is doing a lot of amazing work on themselves, everyone's super successful, everyone's super hot and in love with themselves, your vibration will raise up to their level, and then you become superhuman. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Hang out with better versions of yourself. That's what I'm saying. There's a classic quote, which is, if you're going to diagnose yourself with depression, anxiety, or stress, just make sure you're not surrounded by arseholes. So I gave love to my father. I held his head. I held him like a little baby, and I gave him love. I used yoni massage techniques on my father. No, I did not give my father a yoni massage. No, that's not what I did. I used the trigger point techniques that I use to press inside a woman's yoni to release the tension, so they release the trauma out of their vaginas. So I did that in trigger points on his body. I'm a trained body worker, and I just translated that tool onto my father's body. He screamed, howled, and shouted, and I just kept on poking him. And I wasn't really poking him that much, but from being completely, I have a stroke, I can't move, to For me, that was weird, but I just kept on doing it. This fragile, tiny man, I was moving him around and doing all my bodywork stuff. And then the next day, it was teamwork. My brother was doing the science and the hospitals, and I was doing the emotions and spiritual and tantric stuff. So my little brother took him to the hospital, brought him back, and he said, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it. His bloods are getting better. And I was like, I know, because this shit works. So what I ended up doing was every single night, I didn't sleep. I was just doing shamanic stuff throughout the whole day. Clearing the energy with my brother, sister, mum, and my dad. Something would happen which would trigger something. We'll have a big process, and then we'll come together and heal something. So every night I would have a tantra workshop, but not call it tantra workshops. Obviously, I would say, hey, we're going to play a fun game. Let's sit around and talk. And they would be praying 5 times a day. So the only time they would do it is after eating dinner at night, like at 10 o'clock. So I had to prepare these things mentally So these certain things would happen throughout the day where everyone is connecting, triggered, using my tools of active listening and dyads to have real life experiences to overcome something. It's a long story, which I have done a video on my YouTube channel. I've also written a book about it on sacredsexualawakening.com. But what happened was, after 11 days of holding my father, giving him permission to cry, asking him what he's grateful for, what regrets he had in his life, what he wishes for us, and hearing his story, he made a full recovery. 100% full recovery. He actually ended up speaking the way I speak, active listening, not butting in and telling us how to live our lives, but he'll say, hey, is it okay that I speak? And I'm like, what the fuck, he's become me? Amazing. We played a game. This is a very highly volatile game if you have a tricky relationship with your family. But I'm Shaft Uddin and I'm fearless and an Aquarian, the only air sign in my family. The rest of them are earth signs. Super weird that I'm the only creative in that whole house. If you believe in star signs, it's a thing. So I played a game with them, which was, we're all going to go around and we're going to say our story. And we're going to do this for 10 minutes. No one's allowed to interrupt. One person speak, everyone listen. Then we could have a share afterwards. What is your family story from the first memory to this memory? We all went around, and mine was one of poverty and violence. And my mum would scream, you're lying, none of this is true, you're lying. It's like, Mum, you're going to get your turn in a minute. We're going to play the game, you're going to... And then she would just butt in. I said, shut the fuck up, you're going to get your turn. And then my little brother's was one of abundance. Everything you could ever dream of, he had. And my mum would be like, see, he's telling the truth. My dad couldn't speak, by the way, because he still had a bit of a stroke. My sister was one of abundance, but violence. You're lying. And then my mum, she didn't even tell her story. She's busy complaining. By the way, I love my mum. I've got mum tattooed on my back. We are tight as fuck. And this is why I have the best relationships with women, because of my relationship with my mum. And then my dad, he finally told his story. We don't know who our dad is. He was just someone who worked hard and was about to die. But he told us his story. His story was more tragic than any Hollywood film I have ever heard of. One of poverty, one of struggle, one of abuse, and then one of success, one of living an enlightened life. We didn't know he was someone who came from nothing, worked so hard that he provided enough to give to his family in Bangladesh, to build a village, to build a mosque, to build a school. He was one of the big pillars in his village. He was a really big guy. A small man can cast a big shadow. Game of Thrones. So he was this hero. He, on paper, was a millionaire. We never knew any of this shit about him. We just knew he was just a hardworking guy who was tight as fuck with his cash. He showed a side of himself that we have not seen because no one gave him permission to talk. I, Shaft Uddin, went to Bangladesh, gave him permission to talk. Simple things like, what's your favourite colour? Simple things of getting to know my dad, like as a human being. Big things. In 11 days, my dad made a full recovery. My job, my role in the family is to provide entertainment and show people that life doesn't have to be so hard. And I'm just like the the fun kid. I don't have many responsibilities in the house because I chose not to. I used to give a lot of money when I was younger, but because that's what we do as Muslim kids, and put a lot of burden on myself to give back to my family. But when they said they didn't remember that I did anything, I thought, you know what? I'm just not going to anymore. And my life has been amazing ever since, and I like to keep it that way. I'm there for emotional support, financial support, not so much. So that's my role in the family, to show people how to relax. I come from a very, very hard-working family, so I finally learned how to relax, and I learned a lot from my parents. I have the best qualities of my mother and father. From my mother, I have great relationships with women, and I know how to create tribe. Thanks, Mum. From my father, I have a hard-working, sweatshop mentality, really good with money, really good at business mentality. Thanks, Elvis. So at the end of that 11 days, I took my dad to Jaflong. I've never seen him so happy. They went on their second family holiday. The first time was in 1997 when we went to London, Buckingham Palace. It was the most beautiful moment of my life to see my father not do anything, just paddling in water. I sat on a rock. I just looked at my family and my dad. My dad slowly crawled up on the rock and joined me. And then the rest of my family, my sister and my brother, joined me on the rock. It's such a simple thing, but it meant so much to me. And I'm so happy to see my dad not struggling. See my dad not having to fight every day. Just finding that moment of peace. From that day, I healed the man inside of me. From that day, I decided to be a man. I didn't know what it was to be a man. I'm making it up as I go along. I'm in the most blessed position out of anyone I've met. My inner feminine is so strong. And I get to discover what it is to be a man now. For 3 years, I've been tapping into that masculine energy. It's been a really interesting journey. It's only this year that I started hanging out with dudes, properly, just men. Since healing that connection with my father, I healed that connection with my inner man, my Shiva, the mature masculine energy. I'm loving being a man. It turns out it's actually super easy being a dude. It's a lot more peaceful. A lot more grounded. It's like a giant oak tree. Just being present. Keep on moving forwards is our motto in my company of men. As a man, I'm here to be a steward of the earth. I'm here to bring in a new generation of warriors, of love warriors. I thank my father every day. I'm proud to be his son. He is my biggest role model right now. And I tell him that. I'm blessed to have a unique relationship with my very strict Muslim mother and father. My father does a call to prayer. My dream and wish for myself is to be able to sing. So I could do the call to prayer with my father. When I was in Bangladesh, I was able to heal the connection with my mum, with my throat. And I'm very clever with all this stuff, all this tantra stuff and healing. I knew I needed to heal the connection with my mother as well. In 1988, she shut me down when I was singing a Christmas carol when I was 8 years old. This is a quick side story about mummy issues rather than daddy issues. She shut me down. I was singing, oh, yeah. And my mum shouted at me saying, "Bochri lachen genematos," which is, why are you speaking like a goat? I shut down after that day. I never spoke out in public ever again. I had all the answers in all the questions when they ask you things in school. I never raised my hand because I didn't want to be shut down again. I worked in advertising. It's all about pitching ideas. I would sit in a boardroom with Saatchi and Saatchi, and I'd be paid a lot of money to come up with ideas. I never spoke out in any of these boardrooms, ever. I would sit there and doodle on my leg, and they would say, "Shaft, any ideas?" And I'd be like, "No." I already had the ideas. I already had won the pitch in my head because I just couldn't speak it because I didn't want to be wrong and shut down again. I would always win the pitches and email my clients, and then, I was good at my job. I just couldn't express myself. I hid behind the camera. I was a director, so I didn't have to speak. The fact I could speak to you right now took a lot of work to get to where I am. The fact I could speak on a mic in public took thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of therapy to get over this with the power of Tantra. So my mission was, I wanted to tell my mum about what happened in 1988 and get her to say, "Mum, I really want you to say these words. Shaft, you have an amazing voice. You're a strong, powerful man. Your voice will change the world." Like I was going to reprogram me by getting her to say those stories back to me so my 8-year-old boy could heal. Shamanically, what happened was, I did the call to prayer with my father. We both cried hysterically. I released a lot of stuff when I was connecting with my father with this call to prayer. Muslim connection. Religion does bring people together. My mum came into the room, running in, saying, "Wow, you have an amazing voice. You shook the house," and hugged me. Shamanically, that happened. I didn't have to use a tantric tool for her to repattern me. She just did it. And I knew that was going to happen subconsciously. She just did it in a way that was way more healing than me having to force her to do it. I told her the story back in 1988. She said, "You're lying. That never happened." And I said to my mum, "Mum, you're never, ever going to remember a throwaway comment back in 1988. But what I want you to know is that one comment affected the rest of my life. But it's just been healed. Ever since then, I'm really good at public speaking. Ever since then, I could speak in front of a camera. Super easy. I have got no training in public speaking. I went to one toast. That was about it. The rest of it is healing the trauma in my Vishuddha chakra. Clearing this. So I could start letting this speak and my dick speak. It's been quite the journey with my voice, I must say. It's been quite the journey with connecting to my inner masculine. Ever since connecting with my father, I have become a powerhouse of a man. I've not even scratched the surface of what I'm capable of. Mainly because I've been suffering from chronic pain due to giving too many yoni massages for 2 years. In the last year, I've been training and overcoming the pain and building a relationship to pain. If there's pain in my body, my mental state deteriorates, and I'm trying to not let the pain get me down. Now, I'm connecting to my inner masculine even more by doing one simple exercise. Grabbing my testicles like this and doing this one practice, 8 minutes a day. That's all I'm doing. For 4 months, I've been doing this one practice to get more testosterone in my body. I teach women how to love themselves, get more orgasms, and live a very blissful, amazing life, and do a very powerful self-love practice, which is massaging their breasts. Because when they massage their breasts every day, not only do you get really firm, big boobs, but you release oxytocin. These pockets of oxytocin are just a storage container for you to feel more love for yourself. It's a great hack. That's what we learn in Tantra. The man version of that is us dudes, we're meant to give ourselves testicle massages every day. I have no man dude friends that are doing that, and I have yet to meet any tantrika who has been doing that. So I thought, fuck it, I'll give it a go. I gave it a go. My body changed. Not only did my body change, the people I started to hang around with changed. sacredsexualawakening.com. I mainly work with women. The islands I live in are a matriarchal society. The bubbles I've been in for 10 years have been a matriarchal society. I am surrounded by women. Where are all the good men, is what they say. There are no men in my community. I've had a really good 10 years. But men are slowly coming into this community, and it's amazing to see some awakened men blossoming in this field. It's nice to see that. Good job, guys. These guys, by the way, I'm totally making out with. So, another side note. Since connecting with my father and healing my inner masculine, I'm starting to make out with dudes. I'm starting to appreciate men in orgies and not feeling violently sick around other penises, which I used to feel sick around. I've actually held a couple of penises now, and not been violently sick, which is a huge thing for a lesbian. And I would love to be able to have sex with a man and put a penis in my mouth, because my job on the islands was to use my conscious cock to help open up women's Vishuddhas. That's right. I would slowly dip my penis into their Vishuddha chakras to open up their Vishuddha. This is one of our practices, and it works. 100% works. Again, mirror neurons. You channel love and light into the lingam, which means the shaft of light. What is my job? I give yoni massages for a living. What is my name? Shaft. There is no coincidence. You can't make this shit up. It's insane how crazy my life has turned out. It's hilarious. This is why I like to share my story. You put an enlightened conscious cock inside a woman's mouth, and their Vishuddha opens up, and they slowly start expanding this. And I have seen the outrageous results from this. I love kirtan, I love bhajans, I love going to spiritual karaoke and singing and crying. The women I used to date and do this with, we used to go to kirtan together, they couldn't sing. By the end of a month, they were singing better than I could ever imagine, and I was jealous. I was genuinely jealous, because I've been working on this for 6 years. So I would love to do the practice that I provide to women, to have it done to me. So one day I will be open to that. At the moment, I'm still having ass work done. The most profound healing I've had is this therapy technique, whilst a doctor has been doing that in my ass. Anal de-armoring, every man should try it. I'm super chilled now because of anal de-armoring. But one day I will be able to receive a penis inside of me. And that's what I'm pushing towards. Thanks to the connection to my Muslim father. Ooh, hilarious. Oh, the irony. And I always say, I'm not bisexual, I'm bisensual. My intention this year was to have a boyfriend, to have a male lover, because I want to see if men are as batshit crazy as women. Turns out we're not. The closest thing to a male lover I had was Viking Tantra, Frederick. He and I had been on my Instagram stories for the last 3 months, and now we run a business together. And he's the closest thing I had to like a relationship with a man. Before going to Tantra Island, I was making out with one of the hottest guys at my play parties. Oh, and he's like a buff, massive dad, a Viking dad. So I love connecting with men. From a lesbian to bisexual, like I really want to be bisexual so I could just have more abundance in my life. It's of loving everyone. Am I right? I'm bloody right, I'm telling you, mate. So, I'm going to leave this here. And how I overcame my daddy issues was one phone call. This was the catalyst to everything that unfolded, to where I am today, to where I'm able to tap in to this powerhouse of a body. And I'm just on the tip of the iceberg of where I want to be in my body. In 2017, I did a program called the Landmark Forum. They forced us to read a script to our mum and dad in our lunch breaks. That script was, the first one I did was to my father. I rang up the phone and the script that I read was, "Hey Dad, I'm sorry for the way I acted. And I really want to get to know you." That was it. Those words I didn't believe. I had nothing. I'm not going to apologize for the way I acted because I did nothing wrong. You fuckers telling me to do that phone call and telling me to lie. But I thought it's just one paragraph, and I'm trying to remember if that's exactly what it was. "Hey Dad, I'm just ringing up to say I'm sorry for the way I acted, and I want to get to know you." Yeah, that's it. That was the script. And the second thing I added was, "What were you doing when you were my age?" And he said, "I was working. I'm the hardest working person. I was working really, really hard." And I said to my dad, "Dad, I'm the hardest working person I know." And then for some weird reason, we broke down hysterically crying together because of that common interest, that common connection of hardworkingness. And I could hear my mum in the background, "What are you doing? Stop making him cry. What are you doing? Why is he crying?" The irony was I was going to ring up my mum and do the same thing with her. I'm probably going to do a video about how I overcame my mummy issues, by the way. My mum's great. I love my mum. I love my mum. So that was the catalyst. That happened in the summer of 2017. At the end of the summer of 2017, I had a dream, a nightmare, where my dad beat the shit out of me, deformed my face, and I woke up hysterically crying, and in real life I beat the shit out of a pillow, and then I went back to bed. Found out in October 2017 that day when I had that dream was when my dad got a stroke. Super weird, huh? So that's been my healing journey around my daddy issues. And I invite all of you to heal this connection with your father. It's a generational thing. And the way you're going to do this is you're going to do this right now. Once you stop listening to this, you're going to write a letter to your dad. You're going to write down a letter to your dad, and that's it. And you're not going to send it. Then you're going to sleep on it. After 3 days, you're going to read that letter and then write another letter to your dad. And you're not going to send it. You're going to sleep on it, and then another 3 days, you're going to finally write another letter to your dad. Then you're going to send it. Ooh, there it is. You're going to send that letter to your dad. It's because on the third time, you would have released the blaming and shaming, and you should get to a place of gratitude. Boom. Your energy in your body is being released onto a bit of paper. You're going to send that to your dad. And then you're going to see what happens. That's right. And then one day you're going to ring up the phone, maybe years later, and say, "Hey Dad, I want to apologize for the way I acted. I'd like to get to know you. What were you doing when you were my age? Tell me a story." Remember, these people love telling stories. They fucking love telling stories. Listen to his stories. You're going to build a common bond. And then finally, one day, you're going to meet him. And you're going to see him not as someone who is telling you how to live your life, but you're going to see him as a human being. And you're going to heal that connection with your inner man. A lot of women in my community have disowned their masculinity. They have become these full power goddesses without any masculine strength inside of them. Because they haven't done that one thing. What they have done is done all the Vipassanas, all the goddess Shakti trainings, all the yoga teacher trainings, all of the ayahuascas, bufo, iboga, all the plant medicines. They have done all the tantra certifications, and still they fucking hate their dads. Tell your dad you love him. Heal that connection with your father, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to heal the collective consciousness's issues with their father. It's in every single Marvel film. It's in every single Star Wars film. It's all about daddy issues. It's up to us to heal the connection with our fathers, so we don't fuck up our kids. I got a feeling I'm going to get like sons because I'm so my feminine. So my invitation to you is do those exercises. I'm going to leave this here, and I'm going to tell you about the School of Self-Love. Get my online course. Everything I've talked about is on there. It's all the simple things to find purpose so you can love your life, to heal your body, and to find inner peace every day. Get this online course. Get onto my Instagram. I share my daily stories here on my Instagram. Click on the link below. And please do give me a thumbs up. I need those likes. Without the likes, I can't climb up on the algorithm and I can't share my message. Subscribe to my channel. Send this to a friend who you feel will benefit from listening to these words. And turn on your notifications, because every day I'll be here giving you a love stream. Thank you. I love you and I set you free. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow.